All right, so this video is going to give you a complete introduction to quad modeling. So if you ever do any type of organic modeling or anything where you have like a lot of subdivided surfaces, quad modeling can provide you with a number of additional selection methods that you're not going to typically be able to use with the native tools in SketchUp. So I'm going to show you what quads are, why they're useful, how to use them, and I'm going to talk about some very cool plugins that work really well with quads. So let's go ahead and get started. Hey, I'm Matt from MasterSketchup.com, author of Sketchup to Layout and co-author of Sketchup and Layout for Architecture. So what is a quad? It's really simple actually. So if you look here, I've got three faces, and a quad is literally just a face that has exactly four edges and four vertices. So over here, you can see we have three edges. This is called a tri. This is a quad right here because it has four edges, 1, 2, 3, 4. And anything above that, we just call it an n-gon, where n stands for the number of edges. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is an 8-sided polygon, so technically it's like an 8-gon. I don't know why we just don't call that an octagon, but so the key thing to realize is it's literally like there's nothing special about a quad. I used to think it was like you had to download some plugin and enter quad modeling mode. I thought it was like some kind of special entity type, kind of like an arc or a curve or circle or something like that. It's not like that at all. It's literally just while you're modeling, making sure that your faces only have four edges. That's it. That's all it is. So why would you want to do this? So the cool thing about quads is they're very predictable because of how they are connected to one another. So let me show you an example here. So if we look at this grid here, this grid is made up entirely of quads. And if you download this plugin, it's called Quad Face Tools. It's a free plugin made by TomTom. And this tool takes advantage of quads that are in your geometry. So what I can do, for instance, is select this one edge and click this button to select the loop. So this is going to select, it's going to go along the entire surface of the mesh and select all of those connected edges. Now there's another selection method called rings, which makes a selection kind of like this. Now, you might be thinking like, what's the big deal about this? Because, technically you can just kind of align your view and, create a selection like that or do something like that. Now, it's not really apparent until you start thinking about complex geometry, organic geometry, stuff like that. So here's another simple example where, let's say I wanted to select this entire set of connected edges. It would be kind of hard. I'd have to like hold down control and kind of walk around the model. So with this plugin, I can just click this one edge and then click select loop, and it's going to select the entire loop. Now, you're not limited to just creating one selection. I could select, 3 of those things and create that selection. And then if I wanted to maybe pull that up, something like that. So it starts to kind of open up a lot of possibilities for you in how you select geometry. Now, let me show you a real example of how I use this. Let me see here. Okay, so I've been experimenting with this grip that I'm making for my camera. The grip would kind of go on here like this, so I can hold on to the camera a little better. And so this was a great opportunity to use quad modeling. And let me show you in SketchUp. So the idea is I would create a simple shape in SketchUp, and these are all quads. And then I would use a plugin like Artisan. So this is the Artisan plugin right here. And the really cool thing about this is you click one button, you select a group, you click one button, and it turns the group into a proxy and then creates a subdivided subsurface. So if I turn the proxy off, you can see the smoothed and subdivided surface underneath. And if I turn on, hidden geometry, you can see all the subdivided faces. So now what I can do is if I turn the proxy back on and jump into that group, let's say I wanted to select, one of these finger grooves in order to, maybe scale it up or something. Using the quad face tools, I can just select this ring. So it's selecting all these edges all the way around without me having to manually go through and click on each one. And then I can, grab the scale tool and maybe, bump that out a little bit like that. And basically anything I do to the proxy gets reflected in the subsurface as well. So it's a non-destructive process when you're using Artisan. Now, Artisan is a premium plugin. It costs about $40. I'll have a link in the description below. But I really like using it. It has a lot of additional tools here that I'm not even gonna kind of jump into. And the reason why it works so good with subdivision is because quads are so predictable. So let's dive into a little bit more of why quads behave the way they do. So if you think about a grid like this, imagine the grid was like a spreadsheet, like let's say you're in Excel and you go to select a column, you just would click at the top of the column and the whole column would become highlighted. Now, why is that? Why is it able to do that? Well, if you really think about it, I know it's like kind of obvious at first, but if you really think about it, it's because every single one of these cells has the same structure. And so you can predictably, select one to the next, to the next, to the next. So for instance, if we were in this cell, in order to get to the next one below it, we would know we would have, this edge, which is connected to the cell. And then we would just skip this edge and go to the next edge. And then we would just repeat that. Skip this edge, go to the next edge. Skip this edge, go to the next edge. So it's that kind of structure of predictability that allows all of these different selection methods and subdivision methods. So imagine, for instance, if we have a try in here. Okay, so let's say we're up here and we're going to select this column. So we go down, we go here. Now, what do? Do we go this way? Do we go along this edge to select this cell? Or do we go along this edge to select this cell? So, as soon as you get to polygons that have a different number of edges, the software doesn't know which way you're intending to go with the selection. So that's really what makes quads special. It's as simple as that. Now, of course, all this stuff happens behind the scenes and you don't really need to know all this stuff, but I find it really helpful sometimes to understand like the base logic behind how something works. And that just kind of helps you with your understanding on, how to use it. All right, so that's a brief overview of how quads work, but there's one more thing I want to talk to you about, and that's the unique way that Sketchup works with faces. Now, you probably already know that you need at least 3 edges to create a face in Sketchup. Now, sometimes Sketchup will auto-fold a face whenever you move something because everything is trying to stay connected. So you can find yourself in a situation where you have a quad, but all of a sudden it changes into triangles. So it triangulates because you've moved something a certain way. And actually, if I turn on the hidden geometry for this proxy, you can see that these are actually triangles. So how does that work? How are you able to treat these as quads when really they're triangles? And really a lot of credit goes towards TomTom, who developed the quad face tools. And he kind of created this rule when he programmed this that said, if you ever have a quad that is subdivided by an edge like this, that's softened. So if you click on the edge and you see that this box is checked, so whenever the software comes across that situation where you have, 4 hard edges that are subdivided by a single soft edge, the software will still treat it as a quad, which is really cool. So it gives you the ability to still use all of these great tools to, make selections and stuff like that, without having to maintain real true quads in SketchUp. Now there's a bunch of other stuff that you can do with these tools. There's a lot of material UV mapping features as well that I haven't gotten into, but I hope this kind of gives you a basic introduction to quads, because for me personally, for the longest time, I kind of just like avoided the whole topic because I thought they were like way more complicated than they really are. So, next time you're modeling something like this, it's like kind of organic, think about trying to maintain quads as you're modeling, and it'll help you with not only, you're subdividing your surfaces, but making difficult selections while you're modeling will be really handy. So thanks for watching. Make sure you click the subscribe button so you get notified on YouTube when I publish new videos. And if you enjoyed this video, I'd really appreciate it if you give this a thumbs up and leave a comment below. I'm happy to answer any questions you have, and I will see you in the next video.